This is the Global Podcast Network, where executives and professionals connect, share, and inspire. Stay tuned for the conversations that drive success.
And welcome back, everybody. Really gratified to see that more and more of us are taking better care of ourselves. And I don't just mean in terms of our physical health, also our mental health. There was a time like 20 years ago and before that you would say that those two words, mental health, and people look at you like, they got a little problem. I don't know about them. Now you say, yeah, I'm going to go talk to my therapist. I'll catch up with you later. It's almost like you're respected. Like, oh, well, good for you. That's fantastic. Who are these therapists? How do you find one? A little bit challenging nowadays. I've got a great one for you. And she offers so many different types of therapy, right down to CBT, DBT, trauma therapy, works with first responders, works with anybody, and wants us to feel good. So great to have Jen Wolf on the program today. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you, Steve?
Very well. I have to ask you,
Good.
your practice is called Destinations Therapy, but destination is spelled differently. Destinacion, for destinations.
Uh-huh.
What's that word mean?
So Destination is named after my heart horse, love of my life. He was a racehorse, and then he became a jumper. He is an Arabian, Polish Arabian, and just the love of my life. Named my entire business after him. His
Wow.
registered name is Destinations with that spelling, but he had a barn name of just Red.
How did he get the spelling of that name?
I don't know where registered names come from. Sometimes it's a combination of their parents. Sometimes it's what's going on in somebody's life. I don't know where that came from with the interesting spelling. But the equine therapy part of my practice there was no question going to be named after him.
Wow, I love that.
Yeah.
Tell me what's with horses? And I've figured it out myself. I think,
Okay.
In my world, why are you so connected with horses?
It's my childhood. So I was sitting in front of my mother in the saddle before I could even walk. She and my father raised us on horses, with horses, the value of animals, taking care of them, the empowerment they give. So they were always involved with horses and really nurtured that in me, never held me back from having horses, owning horses, and learning about them. Um, they were there no matter what was going on in my life. As a little kid, just living a dream, into middle school when times are tough. And I used to sit in the barn window with my legs dangling barefoot, with my childhood horse, to becoming an adult and the struggles that come with that. They're just a release from everything. And when you're with them, the trials and tribulations of our lives just disappear. Their presence is extremely powerful.
Can I share something with you?
Yeah.
So I went on what I call a Steve retreat, and it
Mhm.
was back in June. I've never done it before. I've never traveled alone. And I just felt a calling, like I need to just get away. I went to a tropical island. It was super inexpensive just to read, reflect, relax. And I stayed at an Airbnb, and there was a field next to the Airbnb, and there was a horse tied up. And he's just
Oh.
there by himself. Don't even
Mhm.
know the backstory. What's going on there? And I felt bad for him. And he's here
Yeah.
in the blazing sun. And
Oh.
I went down and I had some lettuce. I would feed him. I had, I went in like the closet of the place I was staying. I found a bucket. I filled it up with water, gave him water. And I would go
Oh.
down there multiple times during the day. And then I would also, there was one time he got his the rope around some rebarb, and he couldn't even move. Like he had like maybe a foot and a half to move his head. I'm like, oh, it
Oh.
was so I'm there, I'm trying to untie the rope. This fire ants got I have flip flops on. I'm like, ah. And
Oh my
then a
gosh.
man walked by. I'm like, I didn't even speak English. I'm like, can you help me? He helped me. Apparently, the horse is part of a tour and they didn't need the horse, so they just tie him up. I looked in that horse's eyes. I can't even describe it. The connection.
Mhm.
So I get it. They are
Yeah.
really smart. There's just something, I don't know, spiritual about them. I can't even put it into words, but now I get what the whole thing about the horses is.
Yeah.
But we look at them as work animals, because you look TV, movie, life, whatever. What are they doing? Transportation, pulling a carriage, working, working, working. There's so much more going on with them, isn't there?
Mhm. Oh yeah. Yeah. They can do anything just free in the pasture, hanging out with them. They're working. It just doesn't look like they're working.
But they're also processing
Oh yeah,
and
they're reading you.
they're reading you. Yeah.
Yeah.
And they
Oh yeah.
know. It's, and not to take that away from other animals like a dog, but there's just something there, and I can't put my finger on it. But once you look in a horse's eyes and you make that connection, then you're like, oh, I got you. I get you now. All right, you got me. I got you, and I
Oh
did,
yeah.
and I had that horse's back at least for the time that I was there. Um,
Yeah.
just I just Fortunately, in this country, I don't think that would ever happen. But, there it's okay, I guess. But e
Oh.
equine therapy you offer, how does that work connected to horses? And by the way, just that's a piece of what you offer, but we just started talking about horses. So,
Yeah. So equine assisted therapy used to be kind of considered, psychobabble. A lot of insurance companies didn't recognize it. And over the years, we have seen just how powerful it is to do therapy among horses. So ours is ground based, so they're not on the horse. We do have equine assisted yoga, but for the most part, they are on the ground, connecting with horses or a horse. What happens is they are mirrors of us. So what our soul is reflecting, they're able to reflect back. And each of the horses here has a different personality that fits what someone is going through. So we have ones who are really good with supporting people who are very angry. We have ones who understand grief, um, people who are horses who understand anxiety. So that horse will connect with somebody, and it's usually around something they're experiencing that the horse can then understand. So what we put out, the horse will give back. If we're standoffish and scared, the horse will often walk away. If we're very angry and aggressive, the horse may do one of two things. Either say, I don't want to be anywhere around you. And then that makes us reflect on ourselves and what we're putting out there, perhaps at work or in our love life or whatever.
hmm.
Um, or they'll be really pushy, like, dude, what's your problem? Let's get this out. Stop it. They'll challenge us. They'll challenge us to do better, to be brave, to be strong. So
Mm.
our self-confidence and our self-esteem build as a result of that as well.
How did you figure that out? Where did that aha moment come where you felt connected to a horse?
Always. I couldn't even remember when that moment came. I've never known life without them.
Mm. I've spoken to animal communicators before, and they've even shared stories where they were called to, work on a horse that's had some challenges, and the horse would be just not people friendly.
Mhm.
And they would say, I would just walk in, and the horse was docile. It was just calm and everything. Why? Because the horse knew that that person was there to help them.
Mhm.
Weird. Like they
Absolutely.
know.
It is. It's weird. They read what we're putting out there.
They really do. It's
Yeah.
when you say the word like telepathy, they're picking up on what's getting, thrown out there.
Yes.
And it's almost like they're reading your mind.
Yes, it is. They can hear our heartbeats, so that has a lot to do with it.
Oh, I didn't know
Um,
that.
yeah, yeah. So they know what your intentions are in advance. As prey animals, they're very in tune to what's being put out there and if you're a threat.
All right, my mind is blown. I don't know. So they can detect your heartbeat.
Yes.
That's amazing. Wow.
Yeah.
I shouldn't
Yeah.
be surprised. I don't know.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
They pay attention to everything. Our breathing, all of it.
So you still have Destination?
I do not. He passed away 2 years ago at
Oh,
33.
wow. Wow.
Yeah.
Do you have horses now?
Oh yeah, we run a rescue. We are home to 30 rescue horses. So the nonprofit side of our business is animal rescue. Everything here is a rescue, but we primarily focus on horses that would not survive or thrive in your standard rehoming, adopting type of a situation.
We're going to get to other types of therapy in a sec, but I'm intrigued here. How does that work? How do you work with horses like that?
So some of them are here just to sanctuary. They'll never really be like a people type of horse. We have one you really cannot approach. In case of an emergency, she would have to be darted. Um, she has been terribly abused, whipped, beaten. She's been through everything. We've had her 3 years, and in the past couple of months, we have been able to pet the bridge of her nose. So that's huge for her. She came in extremely aggressive. We have another one who came in ready to knock your block off. Constant work every day with my son, who I'm convinced is another horse whisperer. Now you can love on her, hug her, lean on her. She's the sweetest thing. Others are crippled and couldn't do the work that people typically are willing to feed a horse to do. They won't usually feed a horse to stand around. Um, so
Wow.
neglect, starvation, all of it, all of it.
Wow. Thank you for doing that.
I love it. Thank you so much for
Hmm.
saying that.
Now
I
I can
love it.
feel the passion.
Yeah,
And ever
yeah.
since I stared in that horse's eyes, it's almost like I got hypnotized. I got you now.
It is. Yeah, it's weird.
It really
You're right.
is strange.
Yep. Yep.
That's one type of therapy, equine therapy. You offer many other types of therapy. Can we focus on one of them?
Yeah, so a big one for me is the cognitive behavioral therapy. I'm a firm believer in that one. But I do offer a lot of different types. It really depends on how someone presents. So based on what they're going through, we can shift things up a little bit. Narrative therapy can be helpful for some, while DBT is helpful for some. But CBT is the main one. That's usually where I start people. And it's just kind of a reprocessing of events and how to deal with them and how you think about them and talk to yourself about them. And I think it's really a strong starting point, jump off point for getting to know people and helping them come to terms with what is keeping them down and heavy every day.
Is that CBT therapy, call it what we would look at as traditional therapy?
Um, Yeah, maybe a little more intensive because it sort of puts things back on you and how you think about things versus talk therapy where someone's just listening, writing things down and nodding their head at you. So it's a little more interactive, but it does put the onus on you to really look at how you think about things, what you could do to change that thought process and feel differently, not necessarily better, but feel differently about the things that you're going through at the time.
Can you give an example? Because I'm trying to get a grasp on that. And maybe I had CBT at some point and didn't even know I was having CBT therapy.
Yeah, so a lot of the time what I'll tell people is CBT is the difference between I am a victim and I am a survivor. So maybe they come in and they say, I'm a victim of having been abused from my husband. Okay, so you're a victim of abuse. Let's talk about that. Share with me what happened. Okay, now what can we do to say, yeah, but I survived that? What did I do to make me a survivor and not a victim? How can I look at this as a lesson I've learned? I've taken things away from this so that I don't repeat it. And how can I look at this situation and say, I didn't become a victim. Here I am today, a survivor with knowledge and power and wisdom that not only can I impart that on myself, but on others. If we can look at things as terrible as they are as a learning lesson, then we can effectively say, this was not all for nothing.
It seems like it's a reframe where you look at it and not to use a cliche, but many of us have heard this. This happened not to me, but happened for me.
Mhm. Yes. Yep.
And not that, we will, well, look at the bright side where if, sunshine, roses, lollipops, everything's great. No, being real. But
Yes.
when you start looking at the journeys of people that have been through a lot, where they wound up might not, in a beautiful place in their life, might not have happened if they didn't go through something. Unfortunately, that's sometimes how life works.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but sometimes you have to get to a low point for, the breakthroughs to happen, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Tear it all down and build it back up. Yep.
Yeah. It's they say that we need to learn. That's why we're here. We're here to create and learn. And then sometimes I look at it, it's like, why do I have to learn? Why do we have to learn?
I know.
Why? It's not easy. Why does everything's got to be a lesson? What it is? But when you think
Yeah.
about it, like let's say you're a teenager and you want to drive. You can't just get in the car and go. You need to learn how to drive to get to the next level to be able to drive the car. And that may be the same situation in life where you can't go here unless you learn what you need to learn to get there. Um, and some say that's the universe. That's the way it works.
So true. Yeah. And it's okay to say it's not fair that that happened. It sucked. But okay, so what do we do with it now?
Mm. Well, that's a really great point because you're in full control 24/7. You can't control what happens to you. You can't control other people and how they act, but you can control how you react.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. And we got to get back up.
Yeah, a friend of mine who's very intuitive said to me once when I was at making a life change. This is a number of years ago. I was leaving a major job after many many years, and now and it was good. Like there was no way, I had some severance. It was all good, but it was a mutual decision. Time to go after decades. And I'm on the phone with him, and I'm like, "Oh, and he says, when you're at your lowest point, that's when you are most humble. And I never
Mm-hmm.
forgot that because when I looked at it that way, happening for you, then I looked at, other things out there, other opportunities where I wouldn't have seen it that way, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. You bet. You bet.
Tell me about some breakthroughs of people that you've worked with. Anonymous, but maybe
Yeah.
what they've gone through and what happened, going through therapy. Anything stand out?
One of the first things that comes to mind, well, there's two. One of them was a very hardened veteran. He had been through everything you can imagine. He had seen it all. Disconnected from everyone, everything. Family was struggling because he never showed emotion. Came back very closed off, traumatized, which we've heard the stories, and we cannot even begin to imagine what they've been through. Um, and he went out to the horses and walked by himself, just like almost by magnet, um, put
Wow.
his head on the shoulder of a horse and stood there just sobbing. That horse did not move. He just cried his eyes out. I think it had been cooped up in him for God knows how long. And he just finally let it out. And the family standing at the gate began to cry because they haven't seen him express emotion in so long. And it's the first time they saw him feel in a long time. The horse's shoulder was just saturated in tears, but that horse wasn't moving. He knew that that guy needed it.
No words.
Yeah,
No
it
words.
was. We all just stood there. Nobody said a word.
Imagine
Nobody
how
moved.
long that has been bottled up inside that man.
Hmm. Yep,
Mm.
yep. And the horse brought it out, and we did 8 sessions after that with family, and they did serious, fun, difficult, all the different types of activities with the horses, and they learned to communicate again and function as a family. So that's one that really stands out.
Wow. Were a lot of the things that he had bottled up inside, was that from the military?
Yes, it was from seeing combat time. Yes.
Crazy. And you think about, the mindset where you're going through those things, you got to shut it down. Every day, all systems down in terms of
Yes.
emotion and just going through the motions
Hmm.
to do what you needed to do.
Hmm.
And then, of course, how do you undo that? How do you, you know, open up
Yeah.
that, the protection mode that we all have.
Yep.
Wow, that's Mind blowing and what a breakthrough. Beautiful.
It was wonderful. Yeah.
Wow. How's he doing now?
He's good. He actually graduated out of the program. He does he's kind of on an as needed basis. So he'll reach out if something's going on, or his wife will, so that we can work through it. But he is not being seen weekly anymore. And it's been almost a year since he left the program. So he's doing a lot better. They've gone from a situation where they didn't know if they could save it. They are still married. So
Wow.
he's doing really well.
Oof. Yeah, we started just randomly talking about horses. It just organically came up, and then
Yeah.
cherry on top with that story.
Yeah.
If anybody needs proof about the power of a horse and its healing, there you go. Like
Yes. Yes.
crazy. And I have such a visual when you talk about the tears on the side of the horse.
Yes.
With the horse didn't move.
No, the horse didn't move. He knew that he needed that, and that horse was going to be his space to do that. And everybody just stepped back and let it happen. So
Wow,
that was wonderful.
beautiful. How does
Yeah.
how does it work with you? Somebody reaches out to you going through stuff. I know that you can do some things virtually, right? Tell us about that.
Mhm. Yeah, so I can do things virtually. Somebody reaches out and tells me their story. If it's out of my scope, I'm always very honest and tell them. Otherwise, we begin to work together. The thing that I cannot do virtually across the nation is a diagnosis. I'm not licensed to do that. But we can talk, we can process, we can learn coping skills. Just be a safe space to say, here's what's going on for me. What do I do with this? And then here, locally to Colorado, you can come in, you can do the equine, you can do office therapy, you can get the full scope of things with your mental health, understanding diagnoses, testing, a lot of different things we can do here
Mm.
locally.
What got you here? What's your journey?
Um,
Helping people this way, the blending of the horses as well, therapy.
Yeah, I've always had a love for horses. I've always believed in the power of horses and what they do for us. My family taught me the empowerment of horses for a little girl. When she can get 1,000-pound animal to do what she wants, she can do anything. So
Wow.
um it comes from that by and large. And then, like I said, I've never not had animals, and a love for horses. I was a teacher for a long time. And then my husband passed away after his third tour in Iraq. Did not come back from serious injury. And from there, I could go on a soapbox, but I will not right now. Um, when he came back, an absolute mess. The VA did little to nothing. Um, he was a discard because he was injured and could no longer do what they expected him to do. He was in 19 years, was honorably discharged. He was going to do the full 20, almost made it. Um, and not only were we, as his family, completely abandoned, but I saw how he was mentally, physically, just discarded, and it was sickening. So I went back to school to get my degree to practice therapy. My specialty is military psychology, and to work with our veterans, military families, so that they always had a safe place to go. We did not take VA insurance, TRICARE, any of those, because many of them who are active duty were afraid that during audits something would come out, and here they are getting mental health treatment, and that would be frowned upon. They were afraid they'd lose their jobs, their benefits, a lot of different things. So it was very under the radar, kind of a self pay. And then what we did when we realized the need was, we became a nonprofit for the rescue and also for seeing active duty and veterans free.
I just want to say thank you for doing what you do.
Thank you.
My gosh. Um,
Thank you.
and now I understand the veteran connection and why you
Hmm.
work with them and anybody. You'll work with anybody, but
Right.
that's obviously near and dear to your heart as are horses. Um,
Hmm. Yeah.
what a journey. What a journey.
It's
Uh,
it's been one.
yeah.
No doubt.
Wow.
Yeah.
They say things, again, lessons.
Mhm.
um, but you've turned something challenging into something beneficial for others, and amazing. How do we find you? If somebody's going through something, it doesn't matter who they are, Jen, how do they connect with you?
So we have a website where you can connect. I have email, and you can always text me. Any of those ways are fine, and I can get back to you and see if I can do something to help you. I have, social media, Facebook, TikTok, YouTube, all those things.
And a website which uses that horse's name.
Yes, we are destinationsequinetherapy.com.
Our engineers and editors are going to put it underneath the screen, so spell it for them.
Okay.
And all of us too,
Okay. Spell it, you said?
please.
Okay. It is Destinacions, equinetherapy.com. So it's destinations with a C instead of a T.
We don't know why, but that's the
That's
horse's
his
name.
name.
And
Yep.
he weighed 1,000 pounds. We're not going to dispute that. That's all good.
Yeah, that's
Um,
right.
th- Thank you for what you do. Thank you for being here today,
Thank
and
you.
lots more to talk about when we get together again.
Yep, can't wait. Thank you
You got
so
it.
much for having
Appreciate it.
me.
Thank you. We'll be right back.
This is the Global Podcast Network, where executives and professionals connect, share, and inspire. Stay tuned for the conversations that drive success.